Hello, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. So, this is a new thing. There's no more Shipyard Champions. Sorry, but it seems most of the others are either done with the game or busy with various real life things. So, it's just gonna be me. Let's see. Let's load up a custom battle here. So, this is what I will call Shipyard Challenge. Yes, that is the name. And the first challenge was actually submitted by Lorenzo Ferrari. He doesn't know that yet, but he submitted it for Shipyard Champions. It was never used, so I'm going to make use of it now. I hope that's okay. If you were following my Italian campaign, you might recognize that name. He was very active in the comments. And the challenge is as follows. Enemy forces have 2 battleships, 8 heavy cruisers, 10 lights, and 20 DDs. Year is 1940. Enemy nation, the historical enemy of the nation you choose. My fleet consists of 1 battleship on battlecruiser, 3 heavies, 10 lights, and 10 DDs. How many heavies? 8 heavies. I will make a slight adjustment to the forces here, because, well, that many DDs and light cruisers, that's just gonna be a lot of let's see, 1940. Yeah, we can play against Japan. That is fine. Let's have a decent starting range. 40,000. It's 1940, so that's decent. I will have the numbers of DDs and light cruisers, so 5 of each for me. They had 8 heavies, and they're gonna have 5 lights and 10 DDs. Just because, well, 10 lights and 20 DDs, that would make the game not run very well. I have no shared assigns for 1.7 yet, so we're just going to turn those off. And we're going to start in the morning. I picked Soviet Union because I want to test out their new battlecruiser hull that they have. And yeah, I think I can make some pretty interesting ships out of this. So, let's start designing. Start with the battleship. Let's give the enemy a fighting chance and not pick the biggest super battleship we can, but it's gonna be a decent sized battleship anyway. Max optimal speed 30.5. I think we can make 32. Let's give ourselves veteran crew. Let's see here. Unless they've made a lot of changes, turbo electric should be a pretty decent engine choice. Tower spotting for this hull is not the greatest, but we're gonna try and make do. That's a huge secondary tower, but it does kind of slot in to the main tower, which is pretty nice. Can we make them like have no actual gap? I guess that's as good as it's gonna be. Okay. It kind of looked like I would be able to snug them up against one another, but that's the best we can do. Just gonna put 2 funnels here, I think. Those funnels are not very good. 55 is the best we can do. That does not fit there. That kind of fits there. Should we do 3 funnels? That fits there. I guess... Well, yeah, that saved a lot of weight. So the game wasn't lying to me when it said max optimal speed was 30.5 knots. Range is plenty good for a custom battle, so that is fine. Now for guns. What do we have in 1940 now? In 1.7. So 16 and larger will be Mark III. 14, 15 are Mark IV. And 13s are Mark V. So I could do either go for Mark V and try and max out the 13-inch guns, which could work depending on how much armor the AI puts on its ships. I think I'm just going to be happy with the Mark IV 15s. That'll be good enough. Let's test out the new low-profile barbettes. They're pretty nice. So 1940, you should have advanced triple turrets, which means the negative modifier to accuracy shouldn't be that extreme. I'm kind of liking that with the three funnels. I do like funnels on my ships. Oh yeah, that's looking quite decent actually. Yeah, I think we're going with this for the battleship. Now let's just build the rest. There's no limitations to cost. What kind of resistance does this 93 base? That is decent. It's now 141. 165 with Citadel 4. 154 with Citadel 5. Minus 73% gun damage. Versus minus 82% gun damage. We'll see how the flash fire chance ends up being. Let's go with standard ratio for the main guns. The enemy only has 2 battleships, so they're gonna have to deal with a lot of cruisers. Increased HE on the secondaries. Let's go double capped ballistic. .7% flash fire chance, but with increased ammo and heavy shells. Plus 15% shell damage. Plus 20% shell damage. So that is 1300 with AP. 1263, not a big difference. But TNT2 does help with the flash fire chance. And that is 6.7 with Citadel 5. Yeah, not a big difference. Let's go for the resistance build. Let's start out with 7.1. Okay, yeah. Electro Hydro is it does reduce that flash fire chance just a little bit, and we have a lot of armor here that can be reduced, so that is nice if we need to save the weight. They have a lot of DDs, so sonar might be useful. And as before, the difference between Radar 2 and Radar 3, not really that drastic. And in fact, I've found that, at least in the past, unless they've changed it, not only does Radar 3 add a lot of cost and weight to the ship over Radar 2, but it adds plus 20% surface visibility, whereas Radar 2 only adds plus 10% surface visibility, so I don't think that's going to be relevant for this battle, but often you can find that ships with Radar 2 might actually outspot ships with Radar 3, just because the tower spotting difference isn't that great, plus 200% versus plus 220%, but that surface visibility difference is pretty extreme. And the ship is overweight. Might drop that down to semi-auto. And as I said, we have a lot of armor here that can be reduced. What kind of pen are we looking at? Armor quality 167%. Let's just assume that the enemy will have something something similar. So at 20,000 we can pen 16.3 inches of belt armor. Max deck pen is 18.5, but that's at 35,000 meters. Probably looking at more like 15 inches in most cases. That added a lot of weight. So, someone commented on one of my older videos about why I didn't put any armor on my Citadel layers. So, here it is, maxed out at 9.5 inches, the first layer. Because you can not have more than 50% thickness of the main belt. The 9.5 is half of 19. So how much main belt armor the shell has to pass through to reach the first inner belt doesn't really matter. If a shell has 19 inches of penetration going through the main belt, it will still have 19 inches of penetration when it has gone through that main belt, but that will be reduced by 50%. So it will have 9.5 inches of penetration. Beating that, it will reach the second inner belt, and it will be down to 25% of its initial penetration. So another way to look at it, which I think is simpler, is that this counts as twice the nominal thickness. So that is 19 inches. This counts as 4 times the nominal thickness. So that is math of around 30 inches. So here we actually have a decent increase in thickness, but having gone through the main and the first inner belt, that will still count as a partial penetration. So often, and the exception here is possibly Citadel 5, where the third inner layer will count as 10 times its nominal thickness. So there you actually get a very meaningful increase in protection. So unless you have Citadel 5 and you just max out the third layer to reach stupid amounts of protection to your vital organs, so to speak, I often just like turning this down to almost nothing to save weight, and instead add some thickness to the main belt. It saves a lot of weight, and you can turn those hits that would be partial penetrations into blocked hits instead, often. Same with the deck armor. See, there we go. Saved a lot of weight. That can be added to the deck and the main belt. turret armor is maxed out at 21, so... Oh, 21.8. So that's as good as the turret protection is ever going to be. Let's make these 55s. Try and get the most out of these guns as possible. They're going to fire slower, but with this many enemy ships, there's a real possibility of just running out of running out of ammo for the main guns, as often happens. And Conning Tower maxes out at 18.8. Okay, but we do have some weight to spare, some displacement to spare. Not that much displacement to spare, evidently. Or do we? Almost. Almost a lot of displacement to spare. Well, that didn't save as much weight as I hoped it would. We have a big aft weight offset now. I can try and adjust that. I would like to have some secondaries on this ship too, because we're quite outnumbered by the enemy. Okay, we're going down to anti-torp 3. Not just... I would like to have more anti-torp, not just to protect against torpedoes, but it adds resistance to the hull. Still a little bit of aft weight offset. We can fiddle with that later. Now... No casemates. These are funky looking. Quad 7-inch guns. And the turrets themselves are not that big, so you can fit them in a lot of places. Do they block the main gun turret? It points at that thing. A little greeble there. No. Did not block the main gun turret. What's the range of these? 17.3 kilometers. That might be enough, or that might not be enough to give any meaningful protection. What's the length of these? 40 caliber. It's not like super long. 45, that gives us a bit more range to keep those DDs at bay. Ship is overweight by quite a bit. Let's see. What can be done to fix that? If I shrink down the citadel too much, the ship ends up being more vulnerable to a lot of different attacks. Let's remove these again. I'm actually going to grow the citadel. It doesn't make a huge difference to weight, actually. A little bit, but less than one would expect. Because there are different weight modifiers to Main and extended belts. Put that there. It does overfire the B turret. And remove those. Some guns have poor sector of fire. I don't believe you. I think my sectors of fire are more than good enough. Can I move this without moving the secondary barbette? Now I can. There we go. Aft weight offset has been reduced. So, fewer secondary guns, but at least they fire to both sides. So I don't have half the secondary guns being ineffective. We've got a bit more weight to play with. I'm not sure if these quad guns are actually the best thing to go with, but I kind of just cannot help myself when they look this funky. Kind of close range for the 5-inch guns. 39 caliber. Let's just slightly bump that up to 40. Yeah, 16.3 with AP. 15.7 with HE. We should lay down a decent barrage if those DDs get close enough. Okay, that's the battleship. I think it looks nice. I could probably have fit more tiny secondary guns on it, but that's kind of a double-edged sword, with the sharpest edge pointing towards me. Because smaller secondary guns like 2-inch and 3-inch and stuff like that, they don't really do much unless enemy DDs get really close. So they're very limited in how effective they can be and for how long. And there's also, they come with a lot of crew. And that crew is not very well protected, because it's very limited how much armor you can put on those tiny guns. Let's see, I'm gonna treat this battlecruiser as a fast battleship. Okay, max optimal speed is not that much faster than the battleship, so let's bump up the beam and draft a little bit. That should be pretty much in the middle of the slider. Okay, it's kind of lagging a little bit when I adjust these. Game doesn't like that very much. There. Veteran crew again. And I'm going with oil 1 because I don't know why it's like that, but unless they changed it again. Well, okay, cost doesn't matter for this challenge, but you don't really get that much with oil 2 and 3 in terms of weight savings. You can do some and I do like turbo electrics because, well, look at all those bonuses you get. Let's go with this for the increased towers. That looks tiny though. That also looks tiny. Yeah, I found that when building this, checking this ship out just after 1.7 released, that the hull just looks very oversized for the funnels you get. So 28,300 tons and 6.4% funnel efficiency. So you gain weight. Only about 100 tons, so it's not that much. Is it not possible to put another funnel in here? Like that, maybe? Looks a little bit silly, maybe, but... yeah. At least they're the same height now. I should be able to fit some decent secondary guns here, though. Lots of free space there. Now, as for guns... so the other one had lots of 15-inch guns. Again, this depends on how the enemy builds their battleships. I might not need really big guns, but I might regret not bringing really big guns. Okay, that looks more the part. So yes, we're building a very big ship with only 8 guns. And the rest will be... I'm probably going to focus a little bit more on secondaries on this. Just so I have some more... like firepower to deal with those... DDs and light cruisers. And again, these 7-inch guns are just pretty nice for how easily you can fit them in different places. The 8-inch quad turrets are quite a bit bigger, but of course they do fit here. Let's go a little bit unorthodox. No, I want side turrets, of course. A little bit unorthodox for a not pre-dreadnought. And do like a mixed main battery. Maybe a little bit too big. Maybe tens. So am I now gonna get negative modifiers both for having main guns of different caliber and different number of barrels? Perhaps. Because I got doubles and triples, and these do count as main guns. But at least, if my 18-inch magazine blows up, I still have some guns that are technically main guns, but don't share the same ammo. So and so. Let's see. Resistance 138. 150 or 162. In this case, I might actually go Citadel 5 because it'll help reduce my my flash fire chance. Standard ratio on the main guns. I might change my mind there. And let's go capped instead of cap ballistic 2 for the AP, because 18 is pretty big. it should have enough punch to go through most armor, unless the enemy just goes way crazy on the armor on the battleships, which sometimes they do, and sometimes they just go paper. Tube powder for improved safetiness. 0.7% flash fire chance. That is decent. 0.6% now. But here comes a little bit more added weight. And here we will have to add a lot of weight because it's gonna need more armor than this. What is the max main belt armor thickness you can put on this? Can you do 20 inches? No, 17.5. So here's a case where I might actually try and max out the third inner layers, depending on how much displacement I have to spare. I want my fore and aft belts to not be easily pennable by cruiser guns. .8 is max for the conning tower. Turret armor. That needs to be kind of hefty. As does the barbette armor. 10-inch turrets. 14 is probably good enough. 12 on the barbettes, probably good enough. Let's see, these are 50s. Range is not the greatest because they're only Mark 3s. Also, reload time is kind of crap. I might, if I have the displacement for it, might go with auto reloading instead. Make them 50, I was going to say 55s, now they're 56. There they're 55. And here I thought adding 10% to 50 would be 55. I guess my math was off. Deck armor, it's a handy thing to have. 8 inches on the main deck. Now, I want to beat this number for the third inner belt. Otherwise, there's no point. So let's go 6. 3.8. That's 38. That's a very meaningful increase over 16. So here we can go. That's 26. That's a meaningful increase over 8. Meanwhile, 4.8 times 4 would be more than 16, but not that much more. So if I only had 2 inner belts, inner decks, 2 layers basically, I would just drop this down to 0.1 and use that save displacement to just up the main belt and main deck. So that's how I like to do it. You may disagree. These 5-inch guns are also kind of funky. Oh, and they fit here. And even here. Tiny bit aft weight offset. Can move this up a little bit. 0.5%. Good enough. I don't want to fiddle too much with it. We got almost 3,000 tons to play with. We're not... We're only 400 tons overweight. That's not that bad. 400 tons is... not that bad. Now we're only 216 tons. So oil 2 is heavier than oil 3. But oil 1 is still the lightest. Yeah, no, we're going back to anti-torp 3, and we are increasing the reload. That wasn't even that heavy. 57.3 second reload. That's kind of slow, but at least you should not be running out of... Come on now. Can I just move you and not have the game spaz out? I said I wasn't going to fiddle with it, but then I fiddled with it. That is... I just can't get over how tiny that tower looks on this huge hull. If it had only been resized a bit, then I would really have liked the look of this ship. If the tower was a little bit more imposing. But there we go. That's the battlecruiser. Now heavy. And we get 3 of these. And we're just going to build a supercruiser. 95 resistance. Yeah, I think we're going to build the supercruiser. Modern heavy cruiser 3, probably not bad. Supercruiser. That is something special. It can be very big. Just going to give it the same top speed as the 2 capital ships. Range will probably end up being good enough once everything is added. Let's go with oil 1 to begin with because it's the lightest, and I think we're going to be able to get our funnel capacity high enough. What's with these tower options? I guess we're going with this one. 21 base, 41 long range. Not a big difference. And then that there, and then funnels like in the middle. Oh yeah, engine efficiency is plenty good enough. Even 1 would be enough. But I like having some redundancy. That's why I like having 2 or more funnels. But 2 will be enough here. Now, any new barbettes for cruisers? I noticed the 2 new ones for battleships, battlecruisers, but I don't think cruisers got anything. Anyway, it's a very big cruiser. We're going to give it some proper guns. I think doubles will be adequate. If I load this down with 12 11-inch guns in 4 triple turrets, the recoil will just be very bad. And accuracy will suffer. If I go with anything smaller and the enemy actually has decently armored heavy cruisers, then considering there are 8 of them in the enemy fleet, They have the numbers. I need to be able to sink them at range. We're gonna rely on a lot of these 5-inch secondaries. Can this go even further aft? No. That is its maximum aftness. We can push these out further forward. 4-weight offset is pretty bad. It's not possible to put a turret back here, is it? No. Not even a secondary turret. Maybe that's like space for torpedoes or something. Let's see, what kind of armor has the... No, it's not even overloaded on the aft, so... No, on the 4, I mean, it's a 4-weight offset. Stupid me. Yeah, 4-belt is thicker than the aft. Let's equalize those two. Okay, still pretty bad, but let's just do the rest of the components and see where we end up. Barbette protection, yes. Start with anti-torp 3 and then see how much free displacement there is. This had pretty good resistance. 180 with Citadel 4, so that's a pretty no-brainer choice. Minus 91 gun damage. Yeah, this is one tanky heavy cruiser. Here we're gonna have to need that. We're gonna need that pen, I think. If I can get the flash fire channels to be pretty low. It's 4.2 with triple base, which would give me very good range. .5 with tube 1. 0.4 with tube 3. Yeah, it's probably okay. But the range, though. Let's see. Accuracy at 20,000 will be 3.5 with AP. 2.7 if I go down to tube powder. It's a risky... it's not super risky. 4.2 is not like super terrible or anything. 6.6 is kind of in the gray zone between risky and not risky. It's a pretty well armored turret for a cruiser. Then again, this is essentially a small battlecruiser, so maybe how much armor can I put on this? 14.5 on a heavy cruiser. That is mental. 12 is also pretty mental. And with that kind of resistance, this should be a very, very tough ship. Which is good, because it's just going to follow the capital ships and pretend to be a ship of the line, basically. Let's see. Can I fit this here somehow? And these barbettes are kind of annoying because they only slot into specific spots. And this spot is not specific enough for it. Come on. Round ones? This one fits. But it's not the one I wanted. Maybe we're just not gonna do barbettes there. And nothing fits back here. That is fine. Ship is now overweight. Let's plonk that one off. I mean, it's okay, decent. It's pretty good secondary battery, actually. That is the heavy cruiser. Europa. Nice. I mean, I'm sure it will do the job. Let's see, these were, what, 54 caliber. There we go, 55. Now I just gotta, oh yeah. As I was saying, 3.2 times 4 is 12.8. That's not that much more than 12. So it wouldn't actually provide any additional armor. And to get it thicker, I would need to thicken up the first inner belt. And that's a lot of displacement tax you gotta pay. So the weight I saved now, I can instead just use to do up the main belts. Alright, we are underweight with Europa. Now, light cruiser. I'm gonna get 4 of these. So they represent a decent chunk of my fleet. We got large advanced light cruiser. Mini advanced light cruiser. This one has insanely good hull form. Okay resistance. None of these are very high resistance. Volga. 13,000 tons. Max optimal speed, almost 38 knots. Same with that one. Yeah, I think this one can be made okay, decent. That's a huge tower. Very good tower spotting. See, this is the kind of light cruiser I would have liked to have in my recent Chinese campaign. Good hull form, good optimal speed, good resistance. And a tower with good tower spotting. This is looking kind of strange. Yes, I know, I'm basing my choices on aesthetic preference. Again. Oh, it gets the nice looking Italian funnels even. Yes, I am liking that. I'm liking the look of that. That's a very top heavy looking cruiser, but I'm liking it. Turbo electric is heavy. Gas turbines are very light. So we're gonna go gas turbines for this. Same with the DDs, I think. And this one will be a... how speedy can I make this? Is this one of the ones you can make go 40 something knots? Yes, you can. 41. 42. Oh, we're getting up there. Where's like the absolute breaking point? Only 46 knots. But that is also pushing it. Let's do a mundane 41 knots. That way it should be able to do 40, 39, depending on exact sea state. And that will make it very difficult to hit. Let's see, guns. 4-weight offset isn't even that bad. I only notice it now. I thought it would be terrible unless I put the guns way back there. But no, this is looking okay. No, it's got a built-in barbette. On the rear tower? Yeah, it does. Now the 4-weight offset is... the 4-weight offset has arrived. I'm gonna make these pure gunfighters, I think. Let the DDs do the torping. And Citadel 5, and resistance is okay for a light cruiser. Flash fire chance is, if I set that to that and this to so, it is pretty good. Increasing the barbette does not add that much weight, so I can do that too. Increased HE. Let's go double cap ballistic. So hopefully they can pen enemy light cruisers, and the HE can go through some DDs. Yeah, that should wreck some DDs. Might still have to reduce that speed though. Or pick a slightly smaller main tower. Light advanced tower 2, that saves quite a bit of weight. So, okay, that removed my entire turret setup. Thank you, game. Very, very cool. Very nice. Love it when it removes additional components to the one I remove. I cut down on the 4-weight offset too, because this tower is slightly smaller. Okay. Now this is where we go overweight. Boom, there we go. Turret armor. Very good. Gooder than it need be. For a light cruiser. I want more range out of these guns. Just a little bit. So if enemy DDs have like 1.2 inches of armor, they can be HE penned at 7,000 meters. That is pretty decent. Now here's where we reduce some stuff to save some weight. I think 40 knots is still pretty good. Triple base propellant, increased ammo. Do these even need increased ammo? I think standard will actually be enough. Because they're just going to zoom in, shoot stuff, and then zoom out. They're not going to be slugging it out in the line of battle with the heavy cruisers. What's the max armor you can put on this hull? 6 inches is what she said. So that will be equal to 2. Can I bring this up to be more than... Yeah, I can. That would be equal to 13. So now it's worth it. That will be equal to 2, which is what I have. That will be equal to 6, which is pretty good. So there we go. That's a light cruiser that is actually decently protected from getting its engine blown out by penetrating hits. Still gonna count as partial pens. It's gonna take damage if it goes through the main belt and is stopped by the citadel, but it's not gonna knock out the engines. We are around 400 tons overweight. How are we gonna deal with that? I think if I reduce that a little bit. Reduce that a little bit. I don't want to sacrifice too much resistance because that's going to keep these things alive. Semi-auto. What kind of gun reload do we have now? 15.1 second. Semi. 14.1 with auto 1. Oh, we're not even that much overweight. 12.7 with auto 2. So that is worth it. Electro-hydro. Forgot about that. Kind of need it. That is worth it. So we don't have a lot of weight that we need to shed to make this work. Equal to 5. Equal to 4. I mean, that's good enough, isn't it? It should be. Drop that down too. There we go. Boom. It's very expensive, but we don't care about that. 2.6 billion for a light cruiser. That is... I think that's more than the heavy cruiser, which ended up at like 1.6. So I wouldn't build this in a campaign because yeah, way to go broke quickly. That's like battlecruiser pricing or small battleship. Alright, let's do the DD and then let's launch. We have a choice of lots of different DD hulls. 113 hull form, 38.5. I'm gonna do the flotilla leader. Yeah, it's got the better hull form, but optimal speed is slightly lower. So let's just see how that works out. Let's just do a simple advanced DD. Which one's toughest? 94, 90. Okay. This has more resistance. The game says that 42 knots is a very reasonable speed for a 1940 ship. Who am I to argue? Look at how much weight we have left over to play with. Tower spotting is kind of poop, but we don't really care about that. This will be mainly a torpedo boat. Basically, it's gonna have some guns, but they will be more a secondary consideration. That's a huge funnel. That's a huge funnel, but it's smaller. Do you not fit here? I think the angled funnel huge is the one to go with. Just need to make room for it. Can I even put a lot of torps on this boat? Or is it like one of the ones that are like really finicky? Because it's got that annoying step here. Okay, main guns. We're gonna put a couple of 5-inch guns. That should be enough. It's not its main job. And some quad tubes, quintuple tubes in the back here. Let's see how much they grow when I push them up to 20. Oh, they still fit. It looked like there was a lot less room back here, because compared to the rest of the hull, it looks kind of tiny, but those are 15 24-inch torpedoes, so I guess there was room. Let's add on some stuff here. Like armor and barbette on the DD doesn't really matter. I would like my DDs to not flood and sink like immediately. Incendiary semi-ballistic, probably good enough. Probably good enough. Maybe burn down some stuff. And of course, oxygen torpedoes. There we go. Can we put some armor on this? .5 all over everywhere. Alright. We even got weight left over to spare. Fine. Can even do that. 5 billion. This hull is insane. How am I not overweight? I'm just maxing out things. And the game just goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. I think that's good enough. We get 5 of these DDs. There's plenty of torpedo havoc waiting to be launched. Ooh, increased torps. Did not like that. I think 2 launches is good enough. Anything more would be very optimistic. Let's go. Alright. The AI spent a decent amount of time building its ships. So let's see if they are any good. Oh, they start behind me. Also, I forgot to add points for enemy ships sunk. I get 5 points per battleship, 3 points per heavy cruiser, 2 points per light cruiser, and 1 point per DD. I lose 5 points if I lose my battleship, 4 points if my battlecruiser sinks, 3 points per heavy cruiser, 2 points for light, and 1 point per DD. That I lose. So let's try to not lose my DDs and light cruisers and whatever else. Let's see, light cruisers, you are kind of hanging around here in reserve. And let's see, battlecruiser, you are just joining up with the battleship for ease of command. Heavy cruisers, you are following the capital ship formation. And DDs, we are gonna put those torpedoes to use. 45 knots. Crazy. Let's take a look at the enemy ships, shall we? This looks very decent for an AI build. Like, compared to a lot of the AI builds I've seen, this I could almost wonder if it's like a share design or something, but I know it isn't. It has armor. 19.4 main deck, 22.5 main belt. Yeah, I'm glad I brought those 18-inch guns on the battlecruiser. They got range. 42.4 kilometers. So these outrange me. Let's see. Second inner deck, 4 inches. That's equal to 16. We can pen that. Well, if we can pen the 19.4 main deck, we can pen the 16-inch equal inner deck. That's fine. Second inner belt, 7.5. It's like 20 point what something. 26. Isn't it? No, wait. 40? No, 30. My math is way off today. Yeah, no, of course that's 30. I can pen that at very close range. My 15-inch gun, 15.9-inch guns cannot pen 19 inches of deck armor. My 18s can pen that deck armor. And they can slap through that belt armor too. Well, potentially. There's some RNG involved and also angles and whatnot. Navarin has already opened fire. Oh, just have to hope that my little DDs are not accidentally hit by rounds aimed at the capital ships. Let's see, what are we targeting here? Navarin, yes, you can target that heavy cruiser, which has surprisingly decent armor as well. Battlecruiser not quite in range yet. Let's take a look at the heavy cruisers. Yeah, a little bit more clearly AI designed, but again, finally the AI has actually mastered adding decent amounts of armor to a ship with a decent top speed. Previously, it's often been one or the other. They've made some 19-knot brick ship or something with decent speed, but like really no armor. We're gonna have to try and torp these battleships, I think. And just hopefully the ludicrous speed of my DDs will keep them alive for long enough to launch. DDs have been spotted. They're zooming around at 44 knots. Let's see if that target fast speed accuracy modifier can really save me here. Okay. New plan with the DDs. I'm not going for the battleships. Not right away. Guns are off, torpedoes are aggro, and smoke is smoking. We should get some torpedo hits out of this. My DDs are still doing more than 40 knots. Which, combined with the smoke, is keeping them alive. There we go, we're getting torpedo hits. 5. 8, 9. 10. 11. 12 torpedo hits. Let's see, what kind of DDs are we facing? 21-inch torpedoes, also very impressive speed. That silhouette is wrong, that is my ship. 0.8 inches of armor. What about the light cruisers? Oxygen torpedoes and guns. And that is it. Okay, Pilkey is taking some damage. He's gonna detach. The other 4 are good to go. Let's go back to the main fleet, which is kind of forgot about. So these DDs are good to go another round. Once they have reloaded, can go for the enemy capital ships. Actually, Pilkey, when you have reloaded, make use of those torpedoes of yours. Admiral Istomin. Please get out of here. Light cruisers. You have that target. And I'm liking the changes they've done to the AI. And this happened sometime during 1.6, where instead of the supporting ships just clustering around the battleships, getting picked off while not being very useful, they're actually coming towards me while the battleships hang back. There we go, got some torpedo hits on a heavy cruiser. I think Admiral Istomin might not survive this. Let's bring these DDs in towards the battleships. And my battleship, my battlecruiser, has maintained target on the enemy battleship this entire time. So that whole thing with the target switching, that was annoying the hell out of me previously, that seems to have been fixed. So that's good to know. That means the Vladimir has not been doing anything with its main guns the entire game, because it's been out of range from the battleship. And because it was such a good boy and maintained target, it didn't automatically switch to something else. Okay, heavy cruisers, you're not really that effective against the enemy heavy cruisers, are you? Okay, maybe at this range you are. Let's see, where did my light cruisers gone to? They're still here. They still have their guns, although they're not really in range of anything. Chikuma has taken a lot of damage. No flooding, but half the ship has blown up. DDs are closing in on enemy capital ships. Poor Admiral Istomin. Possibly not making it out alive. Enemy torpedoes. Can we avoid these? Yes, we can. Maybe not all of them, but maybe. Yes, yes. Apparently all of them. Admiral Istomin sinks. That was not unexpected. Okay, it's DD time. You two will target that one. You two will target this one. And we're gonna try and get in a little bit closer before launching. And just hope that the my own battle line can handle itself while I try and micro these DDs. We're still doing over 40 knots on all my boats. All enemy main gun rounds missed. Let's just hope these torpedoes actually hit their marks. You're now free to fire. This is looking pretty good. This guy might be avoiding a bunch of torpedoes, the Nishin. But Unio went down from that. Nishin managed to maneuver. Yeah, Nishin managed to maneuver. And avoid everything. The game is really not liking everything that is going on. My DDs are in pretty good shape. They're out of torpedoes though, because I skimped on giving them increased torpedo armaments. Because typically I consider myself lucky if my DDs can even do 2 torpedo runs before blowing up. But 45 knots, yeah, that's pretty insane speed. That lets you get away with a lot of crazy stuff. Futaka sinks. My heavy cruisers are out of HE ammo. I want them to use their main guns on that light cruiser in the distance. My own light cruisers will try and deal with the DDs. The capital ships can take care of the heavy cruisers. My light cruisers like switching targets though. Casa just took a bunch of big hits from something big. Capital ships are doing the right thing and switching to the other heavy cruiser immediately. DDs are getting out of here alive. which is good. I don't want to lose points by losing my DDs. Okay, capital ships. You have a battleship to sink. This DD will go down now. I will now detach my heavy cruisers from my own capital ships, send them out to hunt the Chikuma. My capital ships are no longer in need of any escorts. Yeah, taking this down would be tough. But that's cool. I like when the AI builds something that's a bit of a challenge to fight. But that is a challenge in kind of a cool way. And not just abusing stuff like how fires used to work at some point in the game. See here, lots of cruisers left. Can we sink the Chikuma though with our 11-inch guns? Yeah, I think we can. We can pen that at about 15,000. Yeah, they had a lot of cruisers left. Kind of lost count of how many I had sunk, but evidently they had quite a bit left. How are my battle wagons doing? Okay, they're doing okay. They're dishing it out. Nishin has lost a bunch of her ammo, it seems. Either that or just fired everything. Are we in danger of torpedo disaster? Kind of. I think Volga is gonna take one here. Unless I detach Ural. Keep her going safe. Then emergency maneuver on Volga. That torpedo detonated in water. That's lucky. There are more torpedoes coming in. Oh, lucky. My light cruisers are impressively maneuverable. Okay, heavies can start taking care of the lights too. Once my battle wagons are done sinking the Nishin. What happened to you, Navarin? What did you, Oh. It was battleship fire, not random torpedoes. It caused a little bit of flooding. Yeah, they're not hitting too much. Way too many guns. Way too much recoil. I kind of was aware of that when I was designing them, but I just could not resist these funky looking new quad turrets. Look at that with the double stacks. That's pretty nice. Same with the secondaries on the heavies. This is turning into quite a big battle. Imagine how crazy this would be if I hadn't reduced the number of light cruisers and DDs to something more manageable. Mission is about done. Navarin can start. They're not in range yet. My heavy cruisers are pretty tanky. They're taking hits, but not much damage. There that goes. Nishin sinks. Bringing in the battle wagons again. Light cruisers are completely dry. They're out of here. Heavy cruisers are putting their remaining ammo to good use. Completely demolishing the enemy light cruiser squadron. Yodo will not survive that. Whoa. That's my bad. I saw that torpedo coming. I still have plenty of secondary ammo though. There we go, landing those big hits on that light cruiser. It is done. It just hasn't realized it yet. It's gonna sink. Now we're bringing in the big boys. And they still have a decent amount of ammo, especially Vladimir. Oh. We have spotted more DDs. You know what? This is a job for my cruisers. In battle wagons, you are going to focus on the enemy cruisers. Secondaries on the DD if you got the chance. Okay, they're so close now, so... I know you can pen at this range. You got a good angle on it now. Getting some flooding. Yeah, at 7 kilometers. Armor does not provide enough protection. And Kinpu might actually sink from this. Well, depending. Maybe they get the flooding under control. It probably will. All these ships are fairly heavily damaged now. Actually, no. Now is the time for you guys to start worrying about those DDs. There's a lot of torpedoes coming in. Europa has a busted rudder. We can just try and maintain this turn. Rafael is fully maneuverable. Alexander Menshikov can maneuver. Can she avoid that torpedo though? No. Europa might avoid that one. Archangel did not avoid that one either, but neither torp did much damage, really. And my battle wagons are about to start feasting on enemy heavy cruisers, while my own heavy cruisers let's go for Satsuki first. Because the other ones are completely out of torps. Actually, Alexander, you can go for Tsuta. Vladimir. It would be funny if these torpedoes would hit the enemy cruisers. My cruisers have a little bit of main gun ammo left. But might have to rely on secondary ammo. All the 5-inch guns to deal with the enemy DDs. I mean, so far so good. I've lost one light cruiser. None of the other ships have really taken any serious damage. Even the one DD got away. Yoko, you're not gonna last long. You're getting a lot of attention from some pretty big guns. Charging in. Bushido style. And then I think Kinpu is the last one left. If they've got some other ships somewhere off in the distance, I'm not gonna go hunting. I'm just gonna end it. Means we won't get a scorecard though. But I think this should be the last one. I ended up with a total of 27 torpedo hits, by the way. Which is pretty nice. Kinpu sinks. And that was the last one. So, one friendly light cruiser sunk, or lost. That's minus 2 points. That is 10 for the two enemy battleships. Let's see, 8 times 3, 24. That's 34. Plus 10, 44. Plus 10, 54. And then minus 2, that's 52 points. Now, you're free to repeat the challenge. if you will, if you want to. And for those of you still watching after this, because it ended up being quite lengthy, post your own challenge in the comments below, and whichever has the most upvotes, thumbs up, by Friday, I'm gonna do that one next, with possibly any tweaks to the challenge that I feel might need to be done, like somewhat reducing the number of ships, just so the game will not have a stroke. Who did the most damage here out of all the ships? The enemy battleships. Well, one of them did okay. Wasn't that the first one to sink? That's impressive. My heavy cruisers did very well. Battleship did amazing. Battlecruiser also did very amazing. Not as well as the battleship, but still. DDs did well. With the torpedoes. Admiral Istomin sunk early, but still. Yeah. I think that worked. I think the designs mainly, for the most part, they worked. I think the quad guns on the light cruisers were could maybe have been better served with triple guns and more ammo, maybe. But yeah, post your own proposed challenge below, or if you want to try it, try this one. Goodbye and take care.